Good morning, friends. In last video session, we have seen the fixed data network. In today's session, we'll discuss on the wireless data network. So first, we'll see the benefits of using the wireless network. So these are some benefits of using the wireless network, that you can access the wireless network anywhere. You can mobilize. It is less disruptive and it has the adaptivity feature. So what is anywhere? So in contrast to wired network, which can only be accessed at a fixed number of network junctions, the wireless network gives the user the freedom to access them anywhere where they are still in range of wireless transmitter that they have access permission for. Mobility it means the wireless communication network can be accessed while moving. So the cost of installing wireless transmitter and receivers, they are typically much cheaper than a wired network. Whereas the wireless network can be used in areas where the wired networks would be considered too inconvenient. They are disruptive or expensive to install. For example, in old historical buildings and in emergency situation, it is very difficult to install the wired network units. Wireless network also considered more adaptive in terms of their ability to expand or shrink the coverage of network and to vary the density of coverage, and installing more transmitter and the capacity in high populated, more rural areas. So these are some benefits of using the wireless network. Now, in this next slide, these are the types of wireless network. A wide variety of wireless network is available. So this network varies according to the type of infrastructure, the network range, the frequency used, the type of signal modulation to increase the channel efficiency and the channel sharing, the bandwidth available, and the power consumption. So these are some parameters based on these categories have been formed for the wireless data network. So wireless local area network, wireless max, WiMAX, Bluetooth, Zigbee, infrared, ultra wideband, and then satellite and microwave. These are some widely used wireless data networks. Now, most global wide area and local area wireless network, they are infrastructure dependent, and they use the fixed transmitter. For example, satellite, oblique mobile phone, and the wireless local area network or WiMAX. These are some example where these network, they are infrastructure dependent, right? Now, in contrast, in an ad hoc wireless network, the transmitter and routers are dynamic. For example, the packet radios and the sensor network, they are the best example of ad hoc network. Now, in mobile wireless network, uh, it varies in the range that they cover. Now they can be global. For example, the satellite wide area, it covers 100 to thousands of kilometers. For example, the mobile phone networks such as GSM, TDMA and CDMA. GSM is global system for mobile communication. TDMA is the time division multiple access network, and CDMA is the code division multiple access network. So these are some local area and the metropolitan area network which covers 100 meters to 5 kilometers. Okay, there are some other wireless local area network which are typically called as the personal area network, which covers 1 to 10 meters of range. And the best example of this personal area network is the Bluetooth, Zigbee, and infrared. Now, the range of potential access depends on the frequency of transmission and the strength of the transmitter, uh, which depends on some factors such as the attenuation of signal because of moisture, water, raindrops, different kinds of solid objects. So there is also a relationship between the frequency and the maximum data range that can be transmitted. So what is the relation? Generally, the higher the frequency, greater the data transmission rate that you can get. Okay, but because of this, the attenuation will also result into greater amount. Now, spatial efficiency or SE, which is measured in bits per second per unit area. So this unit is considered as a useful metric to describe the data rates that are available within the local area. Now, in addition to this, as a power consumption is a particular constraint in a mobile wireless transceiver, a power efficiency metric is useful in this case. So there is also a proliferation of new wireless services which are being offered over a multiple networks such as satellite, cellular network, and over the wireless local area networks. So this is fueling concern over the protocol wireless network. So new techniques are needed to allow the spectrum to be used more flexibly and efficiently. Now we'll see the first type of wireless network, that is WLAN, or it is also called as WiMAX, that is wireless local area network, or WiMAX. Wireless LAN, also called as WLAN, are the local area wireless network that are adhered to the IEEE 802.11 wireless set of standard that can operate at the different frequency ranges, and they supports the different message transfer rate. So the 802.11g is the standard which was stratified for WLAN. So this works in 2.4 gigahertz frequency band and operates to a maximum raw data rate of 54 megabits per second. A typical wireless local area network, it consists of computers with the wireless local area network cards that connects to the access node that have a wired connection to an internet. So WLAN currently tends to be inbuilt into a laptop computers, but not currently in many mobile phones. So WiMAX, the worldwide interoperability for microwave access from the WiMAX forum, is proposed as a wireless wide area broadband access technology, which is based upon the IEEE 802.16 standard, typically offering a 10 megabits per second data transmission rate, and it allows the distance to cover of 10 kilometers, although this is achieved at a speed of 70 megabits per second. Okay, then IEEE 802.11 and 802.16 technologies are distinguished by their type of medium access control. Then the next type of wireless wireless data network is the Bluetooth. So Bluetooth is the standard for the short range wireless communication over about 1 to 100 meters, depending on the class of device and the power. So Bluetooth application, it includes both local communication, which increasingly local control. Unlike the infrared, the Bluetooth does not require a line of sight between the transmitter and receiver. So some current popular Bluetooth devices and the application, which includes hands-free mobile phone handsets and car kits to support the hands-free communication when driving, and the wireless controller for the game console. So these are some essential applications of Bluetooth. Okay. Now we'll see how Bluetooth is efficient versus over the wireless local area network. Now, Bluetooth, it uses the same radio frequency range as the wireless local area network, but Bluetooth requires the high power consumption, which results into a stronger connection. In contrast to this, wireless local area network, it requires more setup. It uses the access node for better service provision. It operates on the full scale network because it enables the faster connection and better range from the base station. Also, a wireless local area network, it provides the better security as compared to Bluetooth. Now, unlike wireless local area network, Bluetooth does not require much configuration to set up the shared resources, to transmit the files, or to set up the audio links. Now, this is what the differences between the Bluetooth and wireless local area network. Now, our next wireless data network is the ZigBee. Now, ZigBee is basically a specification for suite of communication protocols from the ZigBee Alliance, which is formed in 2002. It uses a small low power digital radios which are based on IEEE 802.15.4 standard for wireless personal area network. And this becomes a very popular technique in which a node continuously transmits small packets to advertise its presence to other mobile units. This then tries to establish the connection to start the network and then letting the other devices to join in. ZigBee operates in the industrial, scientific, and medical radio bands, which has the operating frequency of 868 megahertz in Europe, 915 megahertz in the USA, and 2.4 gigahertz in the rest of the world. Now let's see the difference between the point of difference between the ZigBee and the Bluetooth network. Now, ZigBee technology is considered as the simpler and a cheaper technology, which has the smaller code footprint as compared to your Bluetooth technology. So currently, the Bluetooth still dominates the local communication. The Bluetooth consumer devices, they can be used in a sleep mode to reduce the power consumption. However, when a ZigBee device is powered, it can wake up and get a packet across the network connection in and around 15 milliseconds. Now, in contrast to this ZigBee network, a Bluetooth device is a similar state. In a similar state, it would take around 3 seconds to wake up the response or to respond the others. So there are 3 different types of ZigBee devices. A ZigBee coordinator, which forms the root of the network tree and bridge to the other networks. The second type of ZigBee devices is the ZigBee router, which acts as an intermediate router, which we know that the main function is passing the data from other devices to and fro. The third type of ZigBee devices are ZigBee end devices, which contains enough functionality to talk to its parent node. So these are some different types of ZigBee devices. Now, our next type of data network, wireless data network, is the infrared. So infrared is a short range of low bandwidth data communication, which is used to communicate between the computers and between computer peripherals. So remote control devices essentially use the infrared light emitting diodes to emit the infrared radiations, which is focused by a plastic lens into some narrow beams. So infrared communication is more useful for indoor use, as IR requires a line of sight from the transmitter to the receiver. It does not penetrate the wall, so it does not interfere with the other devices in adjoining rooms. So infrared, we can say that the infrared is the most common way for remote controls to command the appliances or to control your electronic appliances. Well, our next type of wireless data network is the ultra wideband. So ultra wideband is a technology for transmitting the information at the data rate exceeding 100 meters bits per second, which is spread over the larger bandwidth, which is more than 500 megahertz at a low power range over a short distance. So this is intended, ultra wideband, it is intended to provide an efficient use of radio bandwidth while enabling both high data rate wireless connectivity within the body area network or the personal area network, or maybe within the buildings, or maybe at a longer range. But to provide this at low data rate applications, as well as you can say that ultra wideband is popularly used in a radar, okay, or in some imaging system applications. In contrast to conventional wireless system that needs to use the baseband signal to modulate the radio frequency, The ultra wideband can be used to directly transmit the signal at the baseband frequency. So at most of complexity of ultra wideband communication is in the receiver. Simple low power transmitter can be supported. Okay, so this is what all about the ultra wideband network. Now the next wireless data network is the satellite or the microwave communication. So satellite communication has the potential for truly ubiquitous global communication, and the commercial satellite uses the parts of microwave range frequencies for the transmission. So the first communication satellite it was introduced in 1960s, and its name was Telstar 1. This satellite did not provide the global coverage, but it was acted as a mobile relay just to store and forward the transmission between the ground station in a different location. Okay. Then in 1960s, in the mid of 1960s, the another satellite was launched, which was called as geostationary satellite, which remains in a fixed location and operates in the 4 to 6 gigahertz range with the C band. Then the geostationary satellites, they have the advantage of much simpler antenna design, configuration, and they have relatively small number of satellites that can be interlinked to provide the global coverage. So satellite design must contain with the station, keeping the design that is, for example, which may be influenced by the sun and the moon in causing the orbit permutations. Okay. Now, these are some satellite issues, satellite design issues in a satellite wireless network. So for 2 decades, the satellites were superior to the radio frequency cables in terms of both bandwidth and the cost for the long distance communication. So with the advent of long distance fiber optic cables and the installation of terrestrial uh, VHF transmitters. So what is VHF? VHF is the very high frequency transmitter for the mobile phones as well as for the satellite communication. Now these very high frequency transmitters for the mobile phones and the satellite communication, they are no longer considered superior over the satellite networks. So in the 2000, the major use of satellite communication was used for the wide area TV video broadcast. So for TV network. In the mid of 1990s, the new satellite systems were developed to provide the two-way interactive services operating in the 30 to 20 gigahertz band. Now, this offers several advantages such as higher data rates in the range of 1 to 20 gigabits per second per satellite. Okay, so these are some pros and cons and design issues in the satellite wireless area network, which actually uses the frequency band of microwave communication. Remember friends, the IETF, it has given the guidelines for the use of wireless data network. It has provided the range of frequency for each wireless data network. So there are some low frequency wireless area network, there are medium frequency wireless area network, there are high frequency wireless area network, very high frequency, then you can say the satellite network and the microwave network. So satellite network, they are typically using the frequency band of microwave network, microwave communication network. So we are coming to an end. So what are the interworking of wireless local area network? So there are several reasons for using the internet wireless network. So the first is to support the roaming between short range wireless network. Second, to select an optimum network when several overlapping occurs, for example, based upon the bandwidth and the security, etc. And third, to allow the short range services to interconnect with the longer range ones. For example, to notify someone remotely that something is happening in local area network. Okay. Then there are generic access network, which are also known as unlicensed mobile access network. Now, this is a telecommunication system which allows the seamless roaming and the handover between the local area network and the wide area network, which uses the dual mode mobile phones. The aim of generic access network is to enable the GSM mobile operator to offer the full coverage connectivity using their existing core network. So as the cellular operator increases the variety of services and the application they offer to their customer, then the issue of coverage increases suddenly, all of a sudden. So multi-mode handset with the base station acting as a gateway can be used by operators to allow the seamless access to the services on the different network. Although the generic access network technology is already available and deployed by the number of cellular carriers, but still it is not yet used in connection with the 3G wireless telecommunication network. Now, in contrast to this generic access network, the femtocells are the small cellular access points which provides the enhanced coverage specifically in a residential environment, which enables the operator to provide the fixed mobile network coverage for the voice, for the data transmission, or for the video service transmission. And the best example of the femtocell is the IPTV, that is Internet Protocol TV. So friends, thanks a lot. I hope you understood the different wireless data networks. Thanks a lot for patiently listening this video. And in the next video, we will talk about the network design issues in the wireless fixed and the wireless data network. Thanks a lot.